race fans, and welcome to Suzuka for the second round of the inaugural season of the AOR Pro Mazda Championship with iRacing. My name is Justin, and joining me today is Crekkan.
Hello there, since Dre can't be here, I'm acting as a backup, so hope I can keep you entertained and hope we have a good race today.
Yep, Crekkan will be trying to fill Andre's shoes today. Last time out, it was Jonas Nukarainen of Nuclear Racing who took the race win, a surprising 15 seconds ahead of Domeno and Hawson after a disappointing race for pole sitter Kerry Nolden, who had technical problems during the 40-lap race. Today's race, though, is 30 laps of this legendary Japanese circuit. But first, let's find out what happened in qualifying, starting with a side-by-side qualifying comparison with Fizzy.
Here we go then for the qualifying comparison around Suzuka with the number 35 Kerry Nolden and number 21 Riku Alatalo going head to head. Alatalo, the second of the Nuclear Racing drivers who is making his debut here at Suzuka, and Nolden, who obviously was up at the front at the first race until he had his issues. Coming down to the first corner now, a very tricky corner because you're kind of braking and turning at the same time, and it's very easy to lose the rear if you're not careful. But both of these guys keeping the cars really stable and carrying loads of speed through there. Kerry running wide under the curb slightly, but it doesn't seem to have lost him any time. And the two drivers are pretty much equal going into the S's now. The most technical section of the track, and a section where it's so crucial to find the right line, because if you mess up one corner, it's going to affect you through the whole section. And especially crucial to carry a lot of speed up the hill here onto this relatively short straight down towards the Degners. And it does look like Riku might be ever so slightly ahead at this point. It's only a matter of a couple of hundreds as they shoot through the Degners now. Just a tiny lift off the throttle for the first part, and then braking down to third gear for the second apex. And then coming down towards the hairpin with Kerry having a slow car getting nicely out of his way. Braking hard now for the slowest corner on the circuit, second gear, taking a nice tight line before drifting wide on exit and getting on the throttle as early as possible. And at this point it does look like the two drivers are pretty much even still, with about half of the lap still remaining, and now going flat out through what is theoretically turn 12, coming towards Spoon Curve, which is also very tricky, slowing the car down while turning for the first apex, letting it drift out wide in the middle, then back to the apex and onto the throttle as early as possible. Absolutely vital to get a good run onto this massive straight. This is where certain other drivers might have gained an advantage if they were in the slipstream of another car throughout their qualifying lap, because you're going flat out for a long time here, and now through this legendary 130R corner, completely flat out in these cars. And still, you really can't separate these guys. It's going to be all down to the final chicane coming up now. Who is going to be bravest on the brakes? Both turning in nicely, but Kerry's car getting unsettled by the curb ever so slightly, while Riku kept it nice and stable, taking a really wide line out of it as well, allowing him to carry more speed and take pole position with a 155.049, exactly a tenth and a half ahead of Kerry, who will start the race in second. Very little separating these guys, and they're surely going to go at it again in the race. I've been Fizzy, now back to Justin to take you through the full qualifying results.
Thank you, Fizzy, for that side-by-side qualifying comparison. So it is the other Nuclear Racing driver of Riku Alatalo who takes pole position ahead of Laguna Seca pole sitter Kerry Nolden by a tenth and a half, and over 3.5 tenths faster than Phil Reed, who qualified a surprising third on the grid. Patrick White shares row 2 with Reed, while Knief and Van Luzenoord are sat on row 3. Laguna Seca podium finisher Jordan Housen sits on row 4 alongside Timu Valkiarvi of ACR, and rounding out the top 10 are Andreas Merck and Gino Vandenbroek. Row 6 is led by John Broadmeadow with the second AOR car of Martinson just behind him. Christoph Leister is sat smack dab in the middle of the field in 13th, while the other Laguna Seca podium finisher Domenico Domeno could only manage 14th. In 15th is Alexander Trowbridge with Merkulitz lining up 17th just ahead of Mintner. The third AOR car of Neil Lukens could only manage 18th. George Weisman is likely unsatisfied with 19th, and Lee N. Robinson just barely stays in the top 20. Bringing up the rear of the field and most likely to profit from any first lap collisions are Fraser, Lawrence, Winsper, Van Rompuy, and Saltalamacchia. That's how the grid looks, and now it's time for the race. It's race time, and Riku Alatalo is sitting on pole with Kerry Nolden sharing the front row with him. This is one of those tracks that really suits these cars, and with numerous passing locations, I'm expecting a real thriller here, Crekkan.
Yeah, it should be a great race as the race gets underway. Looks like everyone's got a clean start apart from Patrick White. He got bogged down again as we go into the first corner. Looks like everyone's getting by quite well.
Yeah, up at the front, not too much going on for Riku there. Really didn't have to defend from Kerry. It looked like Kerry had to defend a little bit from the car behind him. I believe that is Phil Reed, if I'm not mistaken. And going through the S section of lap 1, very close right now, of course, as the race did just start. And we're taking a look at a few of the midfield runners here at the moment. And not too much action going on, not much side-by-side action going through the S section. Really don't expect too much of that. But we're going to be having a really nice overtaking location coming up here after the Degners at the hairpin, of course. One of Kamui Kobayashi's favorite overtaking locations, and maybe we'll be seeing some changing of position there.
I swear I just saw an incident behind. I think we'll need a replay later on, but I think the first lap's all about trying to get into position, make sure you get those tyres warmed up before you decide to do any overtaking manoeuvres. On board with Hausen there as we go back on to Timu Vakiavi.
Yep, yeah, as you said, Timu, there's a little bit of a gap forming between himself and Hausen up ahead as they're going into Spoon now, and this is where the cars are going to be affected a little bit by the dirty air, as it's a pretty high-speed corner as they're coming out of the corner onto the very long straight, very long run down towards 130R. Which personally, I'm really hoping we're going to get to see some overtakes at 130R, and with the nice long run down there, I'm really hoping we'll be seeing some slipstreaming that will allow people to go side by side into that very high-speed corner.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you're getting such a tow out there. I mean, the chances for overtaking, not just at 130R, but at the chicane, I mean, it's the best place to get an overtake, and I suppose we're going to get a lot of action down there.
And at the moment, Riku's still kind of running away with it. Kerry holding on to the back of him, though, doing a good job to hold on to the back of him. And is that still Hausen that's in third at the moment?
No, that's Kunifi, I think it is. He's in third place.
Okay, thank you very much. As we're starting lap 2 of this 30-lap race, you might be able to provide some very keen insight here. When do you think we'll start seeing the first of the pits? When are people going to start pitting in?
Well, hopefully we'll start seeing them going into the pits around lap 19, but word from the pit lane is saying that there's going to be some very sporadic pit stops, so we don't know what's going to happen. I think Kanufi is actually going to try and do a 2-stop from what I've heard, but we'll see later on. I'm not too sure if that's the case. If he does, he'll be pitting in around lap 5 or 6.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, for a 2-stop, that would definitely make for a quick stop. Of course, he's running behind Phil Reed at the moment, and didn't really seem to be making any early progress on him, as we're going to cut back to that battle right now. And right now we're looking at Kerry, who is still running just behind Riku, doing a good job of hanging with him. As you see, this is the battle for first right now as it stands, with Riku in the lead still. Kanife in third with Phil Reed just behind him. Going through Spoon for the second time now. Phil Reed running a little bit wide there, but managing to keep it on the track, and I don't think he lost too much though. And it looks like the top 4 maybe are starting to break away. There's a little bit of a gap forming now.
Yes, we're on the board. Well, we're watching a battle between 7th and 8th, Van den Broek and White. White's right up on the back of Brock. See what he can do down in the chicane. Not close enough, so I think he's going to have to wait until the straight to try and do an overtaking manoeuvre as we go back onto the leaders. They seem to be pulling out a little bit of a gap to Kanife, so they're starting to make a headway.
Yep, for sure. And in between Kanife and Reed as well, you can really see there's a big gap starting to form back there between 5th and 6th as well. There's a really big gap starting to form back there as we're going to cut to that battle right now. And no, there's big contact. Yep, he's into the grass and he's rejoining, and that's Van den Broek. And just barely got in, and just got in front of number 62 there. Who's 62?
Oh no, it's not 62, it's 182, it's Demena. I think there was actually contact. You could see smoke coming off the back of the wheels, and Brock's going very slowly. He's going very slowly. He might have damage on the suspension. He's definitely, looks like he's having some trouble there, and he's holding up. I mean, Demena's lost about 5 seconds or so to Patrick White, so that could really hurt the race, since the toe is so important. And yeah, he's definitely got damage. Brock's definitely got some damage. Can he make it back to the pits?
Yep, that's the important question. Unfortunately, I think we're not far enough into this race. Oh no, and he's gone right off at the hairpin. There's contact with the barrier, and that's going to be some heavy damage to the front left of his car. Moving on board with Kerry now, still hanging on to the back of Riku. Really impressive stuff between these two guys. They started on the front row. They're really running away with the race now. We're only a couple laps in, of course, but already these guys look like they're going to be the ones to beat if anybody is going to try anything. Of course, strategy is going to come into play with a lot of these cars. You know, Riku could struggle in the pits with the pit stop. There's any number of things that could happen. Kerry closing up right under braking for the chicane there, getting very close. And Knief as well appears to have closed back in on Kerry. It doesn't, yeah, he is right on the back of him. Really doesn't seem to be much between them at all as we finish lap 3. And we're going to get a restart of the race here. There's the front row guys making it away pretty good. Oh, and somebody had a really terrible start. I think that might have been Patrick. Yeah, Patrick White. Really tough start there. Lost several positions. As we're going to see the shot from turn 1 of the start, and you could really see Riku just pulling away. Kerry moving over to the left-hand side, but he's got nothing to be worried about from Phil Reed behind.
It looked like there was some contact just at the back of the field as we get this amazing shot from the air. They just see how they form up as we go into the S's. Everyone seems to be slotting into place and making sure they get round. Of course, you can just see that contact. They get a bit bunched up at the back, but apart from that, looks very clean. And yeah, no serious incidents so far. But oh, it does look like someone went onto the grass. It looks like that might have been Reed. It's very hard to tell, but hopefully we get a more detailed replay later on as we go on with White. He just didn't get started on time. He just didn't go on when the lights went on. Look at all the positions he loses.
Yeah, he got caught napping for sure. He started in 4th, and now he's way down in 8th, I believe, and that's 9th now as the number 51 of Vandenbroek slips by at the inside of turn 1. So yeah, I believe Reed dropped 6 positions, 5 or 6 positions, something like that. And we're on board with Domeno here, starting way back, considering his podium position last time out in Laguna Seca. I'm sure he was a little disappointed about that. And I believe he's got cars on either side of him, and he's just, oh wow, and he just slips up the inside of 2 cars right there, moves up a couple positions in the opening corner. Very nice move there, and he's right on the back of White, who started way up the grid in comparison of him. So this is another replay of the start with Alexander Tobridge, and it looked like he was kind of going for a gap in the middle and then let off the gas, and unfortunately he just got kind of mugged and then nearly ran straight into the very, very close to Midner indeed, who was at the outside there, and I think he got bunched up a little bit. Yeah, we're going to see a replay of Midner's on board right now, and you can see he's along the outside, which actually didn't seem like such a bad place at the start. A lot of, oh yeah, and just, oh, and there was contact. Good spot on that one, Crekkan, very nice spot on that one. There was a little bit of contact there, and I do believe he's got some front wing damage. This is how Phil Reed lost his 3rd place position. You spotted this earlier when he went on the grass in the S section. Yeah,
it just looked like he got too much curve and then he got just a power oversteer. And then, oh, actually, this is the incident I thought I saw, and it's the AOR teammates taking each other out. That's not a good way to score points.
That is very surprising. Yeah, Martinson and Lukens there having a little bit of contact through the 2nd Degner just before coming underneath the bridge for the other part of the track. We're going to see an onboard now of Lukens, and yep, there's just some very, very light contact with the rear end of Martinson's car, and that just spins him right around. Lukens continues on, of course, and I believe he's fine. I don't think he has any major damage. Looks like his front wing is a little messed up. Yeah, it definitely doesn't look the same on the left side as it does on the right side. But obviously, Martinson being the one that comes out the worst here, as we're seeing Valky Yarvi just running right off the track at turn 1, turn 2.
Yeah, I think that's why he dropped behind Brock, White, and Domeno, and this is, of course, the incident at the start of lap 3. It just looked like there wasn't much space.
Yep, yeah, he was trying it up the inside, and there was just a little bit of contact there, and yeah, we could see right away in the motion of the car that there was definitely damage for Vandenbroek there, and once again, yeah, I think maybe Phil didn't quite give him that's really a racing incident. Phil maybe could have given a little bit more room. We're going to see it from Phil's angle here. Vandenbroek, I think he went a little bit deep. Yeah, he wasn't exactly hugging the inside either. So I would maybe call that a racing incident, but of course that sort of decision is up to the stewards.
Definitely. As we go on, we're on lap 6 now. Replay took a while, and the battle for first is still going. They've definitely pulled away from 4th and 5th, and this is definitely shaping up to be a race-long battle. These two, Nolden and Alatalo, they were so close in the qualifying comparison. I mean, for most of the lap, they were basically in the same place on the track. It was pretty incredible to watch.
Yeah, very close between the two of them, and also between Kadif. He's doing a great job hanging in there. Right now we're seeing the battle for 18th. That's Alexander Van Rompuy, and right now he is holding up. Is that Martinson? Is that Martinson? It is Martinson. Wow. So yeah, he is all the way down in 19th after his lap 1 incident with his teammate, and that's dropped him way back. And I imagine fantastic shot from the back end of the car there. You can see the exhaust even spitting out flames, and right now we're on board with with Kerry in 2nd place. We're looking back there at Knief, coming to the end of lap 6, and Nolden just sticking with Alatalo like glue. I mean, he really hasn't made any sort of overtake attempts. There hasn't been really any side-by-side action, but I'm wondering if that's all going to change right now. He's gotten a nice run into the chicane. He's got the inside line, and he's going to move up into 1st place position without any sort of drama. Very nice move to take the lead of the race at the end of lap 6 here.
And there goes Kanufi, in fact. He's going into the pits. He is on a 2-stop. Or he just hasn't filled up after qualifying. That's some people can make that error. But I was going to say that I was guessing that they were going to wait until later on in the race before these overtaking actions, as Martinson tries to go past Van Rompuy, and he does go through 130R, takes the position.
Yeah, inside line at 130R, very nice. Great job from Alexander as well. No contact, no drama. Very nice move from Martinson, and he can go ahead and turn his sights to the next car up the road. And it looks like that's going to be Fraser. Yeah, Fraser is the next car up the road. Yeah, number 17 there. That is Chris Fraser. And there's a pretty big gap ahead of him, though. So he might struggle. Martinson might struggle to climb through the field because of these gaps in the field where he's not going to be getting that slipstream.
Yeah, I mean, the slipstream on this track is so vital if you want to stick in a group and stick with the leaders, because of just how much benefit you get from it. And even if he doesn't manage to get through to the high positions, it's still points, and these points do matter, at least for the teams. Team AOR trying desperately to keep up with Nuclear Racing, and how quick their 2 drivers are, even though the winner from last race, even though he's not in this race, it's still something.
Yep, yeah. So we're on board with Van Rompuy right now. Now on board with Martinson in this battle for 17th now it is. And you can see that was 16th just up the road going through the hairpin. So still within eyesight, but it's a pretty hefty distance for Martinson, so he's going to have to work on that. Right now we're on board with White, who's having a look at Phil Reed coming into 130R. He's got the inside line, much like Martinson did, but no, Phil Reed hangs it around the outside. That's going to put him under attack from Valkyarvi. Valkyarvi's got the outside line for the chicane, under braking now, and it looks like he's not going to be able to take it, but he might get a much better line through the chicane, which could set him up for a pass at turn 1 at the start of lap 9 here. And looks like no, he's gonna have to hang back. I don't think he's close enough in order to make that move at the moment, so he's gonna have to hang in the position he's in at as it stands.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it looked like White backed out of the overtake. It did look like Reed was gonna leave him some room as White gets some more oversteer heading into the S's. That's leaving him vulnerable to Valkyarvi. But Reed is hanging on to his position, and as I said, this is the effects of the tow, as this is the battle for 5th. See how long these drivers can fight for.
Yep, and well, actually, I'm wondering. We'll find out in a little bit here. I'm sure. I'm wondering who's in third at the moment now that Knief has dove into the pits. Hopefully, we'll get a little bit of information about what's going on with third and fourth. I'm sure we'll get it at the top if nothing else. But yeah, great job from White there. Really impressive that he saved that slide through turn 2. He really didn't lose that much time. Obviously, he didn't lose any time to Valkyarvi. No position. He didn't really come under threat. He definitely closed up on him a little bit, but White did a great job to catch that slide and keep on the road and continue in this race.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a long race to go. I mean, we've still got 22 laps, and to bin it at on lap 8 isn't exactly something you want to do. Though you have to keep in mind he might have damage as we're on board with Mukulits. This is a replay, and oh, there was contact. I guess that's why he's out of the race.
Oh. Yeah, that is unfortunate. I really just I don't think and hopefully we'll get another shot here. So that was Dan Lawrence in the 34 car that was that ran into Merkulits.
I think what happened was Trowbridge. Yeah, he got some oversteer and that would have distracted Lawrence, and yeah, it looked like it obviously wasn't instigated by Trowbridge, but he was the distraction, and that's why Merkulits, he saw an opportunity and Lawrence closed the door, not seeing him, and that's how that incident occurred. I think that was on lap 2. Yeah, it's lap 2.
Yeah, if you don't go for a gap, you're not a racing driver anymore, and he saw a pretty big gap. You can't fault anyone for going for that one, and that is a very slow but very beautiful slide. I believe that's it.
I think I was on the same lap, just behind them.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Mittner there does very well to avoid him. Looks like he's going to have to go off the track into the AstroTurf, and we're actually going to see it from Mittner's point of view. And yeah, he does go right off the track and comes around. And I wonder if he's going to lose any positions as a result of that. No, he gains a couple positions as a result of all that business going on up ahead. And this is Phil Reed's slide.
Yeah, Phil was, in fact, he was in 4th, if we remember. And that's how he lost his 4th place.
Well, that is very unfortunate for Phil Reed because he was having a fantastic race up to that point. So that is definitely unfortunate, aside from the start where he lost a position as well. But yeah, he was doing well. This is Fraser now, and oh man, and he's had an oversteer moment as well at the entrance to Spoon, and he's gonna have to wait. Yep, he's gonna have to wait. There's a couple cars coming, and there he can finally get moving there. And that is really unfortunate for Chris Fraser there. That's obviously not the best way to take Spoon. Japan might be popular for drifting, but it's certainly not the fastest way around that corner.
No, it's not. And I'm getting word that this was on lap 7, so it was during the replays, and we get it, and we're just getting the images now. But oh, that was Martinson. Yeah, Martinson just barely avoiding that. So
wow,
he's having a bit of a rough race at the minute.
Yeah. Well, Martinson, though, I'm sure is going to be very glad to have gained a position and to be out of Fraser's way there and not cause any sort of contact. But certainly, yeah, that would not have gained him any time. So this is the battle for 5th right now as it stands. We got White, Reed, Valkyarvi, Demeno, and March all in very close proximity here as we're very quickly approaching the 1/3 mark of this race. And White is still leading at the moment, ahead of Phil Reed and ahead of Valkyarvi. And they're going through the S's right now, so he can, surprisingly enough, this is probably the place where he can relax the most, but not Phil Reed, because he's coming under attack from Timu, and now Timu's coming under attack from Demeno. I think that was Demeno that was running in 8th there, and they're going through Dunlop Curve. Yep, and yeah, that is Demeno having a look at Valkyarvi, but no, he hangs on to that position. Certainly the outside of Dunlop Curve is not a normal overtaking location. Bit optimistic on his part.
I think what happened was White got some oversteer. I think I did see his wheel twitch, and then that just backed up the train, and that's what nearly led to some collisions and overtakes.
Yep, yeah, for sure. And now we're getting some blinking from Valkyarvi as well. That's going to add a little bit of extra spice to this 5-way battle for 5th place. And they're definitely going to be slowing down. They're going to be losing pace. They're going to be losing time to the cars ahead even more. As you mentioned before, I don't think Kerry and Riku are doing too much battling up at the front, and that's really just allowing them to extend that already impressive lead that they have.
Yes, definitely, and I think it'll be good to mention for the non-iRacers out there, when a car blinks, it means it's having some latency issues, some internet issues. That's to try and cut down the risk of some impacts caused by lag, so that's why you occasionally see some cars blinking and disappearing off the screen, as Reed tries to do an overtake around the outside of White. He's not got enough speed, he's going to go and slip back into the slipstream, but he's looking on the inside now. Can he try and do an overtake or not?
I'm not sure he's got the speed. I think he's got the inside line on him. Yep, and he does it with just enough. I mean, you got to have some pretty big balls to do something like that. But Phil Reed has done it. He's taken that 5th place position off of White, and yeah, here we are after the 1/3 mark, where we got 20 laps remaining still in this race. And he has taken that 5th place position. So, and this is right around the time where the pit stops are going to start playing a major factor. Because if White or Reed is even just a few tenths slow in their pit stop, they could lose potentially 3-4 positions just as a result of a relatively slow pit stop. Even just 1 second in the pits extra could mean the difference of a lot of points for these guys.
Definitely, and what's worse about the pit stops is you're losing out on the toe if you go in just by yourself, and as White, it was almost like a dive bomb almost, but he's got past Reed, but no, Reed's actually sticking to it, and Reed has stayed ahead of White, even despite that overtake attempt.
Yeah, White tried it around the outside, and now Reed's having to go defensive into Spoon. If White goes around the outside at Spoon, and he does, I was going to say that would be an amazing move, and that was in fact an amazing move. It's not every day that you see somebody go around the outside of a car at Spoon Curve, which is a double apex left-hander, very tricky, high-speed corner as well, 2nd, 3rd gear, something like that. It's certainly not a chicane or anything. So that is very impressive stuff from White here, who is showing just how badly he wants that 5th place position.
Well, we're getting incredibly bunched up. Hopefully there's no contact or anything. No. Oh, not yet. No, nothing. No contact, but they're definitely getting really close. I mean, hopefully they don't collide at any point, but this battle seems like it's going to keep on going until at least the start of the pit stops. But as I was trying to say, I mean, if you go into the pits, you're going to lose a toe. As Reed tries to go around on the outside, he's still there. Does he? Oh, he's still trying. And there's someone out there. I don't know who that is, but he's now got him to the mix, and he's backing off.
Is that Knief?
I'm not too sure. He's already pitted.
Oh, it's Luzenord. It's Luzenord. I think Luzenord was who was running in 3rd place, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he was running in 3rd position, and hopefully we'll get a replay of what exactly happened to him. Yeah, we could see in the ticker up at the top, Martin van Luzenord was running in 3rd place ahead of Housen, and unfortunately he has had some sort of incident, and that has dropped him at the back of this group. That's going to put him into 9th position. Just behind Merck, just behind Andreas Merck, I do believe.
Yes, I mean, if that's Housen going up the hill now, I mean, it must have just been a slide for him to lose all those positions and get into that mess, but that's not a good thing to do. I mean, Housen's now all scot-free, and if Van Loosen wants to try and get back into, well, he can't, because he's still behind Beast5, and of course he's gonna have to try and then contend with them with the toe as White runs wide.
Yeah, White running a little bit wide at the exit of Spoon there, obviously trying to get as much speed. It's more important for White than anybody else to carry as much speed as he can onto this back straight going into 130R. Car's very bunched up now, and yeah, as you said, that's going to be very difficult. Luzenord is... oh wow, and there's definitely been some contact there between Valky Jarvi and Demeno, and you can see Valky Jarvi's got damage to his rear wing. The right side of his rear wing is just all bent up, and he's going to lose all these positions.
He got 3 wide on the straight.
And they're going to make it 4 wide just about, but no, there we go. Now it's 2 different 2 wide battles, and holy cow, and White, meanwhile White and Reed are just taking off into the distance, and Luzenord though has managed to take those positions back. He's already gotten 3 of those 5 positions that he managed to lose earlier on the last lap, and now he's going to turn his sights towards Reed and White up ahead. and he is just charging right back through the field. Obviously, he is fired up about that mistake, and he is anxious to make up his positions.
Definitely, and just to mention on Valkyarvi, that's the second race in a row now, but he's had rear wing damage, and it's just...
Oh, is that White?
That's White.
Yep, White. He's gone off the track, and Luzinord gains another position. That's 4 positions in the space of about a lap. As White having a little look at the inside there of the hairpin.
And then Domenico does the same to him, and he's got past.
Wow, holy cow. And well, no, White's got the inside line on Domenico here, but Domenico's going to have the inside line for Spoon. If he can hang with him, he can't. He can't, and White stays ahead. And he's going to be turning his focus towards Luzinord now, who's currently focused on Phil Reed at the moment. And wow, this battle for 5th position, it seems to be heating up even further. It only seems to be getting more and more intense.
You have to remember we have a battle for 1st as well, but this is so interesting and exciting. We're watching a battle for 5th instead. This is how good this battle is. In fact, no, it's for 4th, in fact. And there's minutes. He's lost his traction.
That was White, I believe, and I think he went into...
It was White and Domenico.
Yeah, White and Domenico. I believe you're right about that. Yeah, I think that was White and Domenico. Merck is going to come out ahead on this one, actually. He's going to move up a few positions. He's running just behind Valkyarvi, as I believe it was Domenico that dove into the pits there. And Merck is having a little bit of a look on Valkyarvi, but no way to find a way through there. Valkyarvi, again, has that visible damage to his wing. Here we go. We got a replay. We're on board with Domenico here.
Oh, this is what earlier on when Domenico made the contact, and I don't think he just backed off enough, and that's what gave Valkyarvi the damage. And this is just an amazing slow-mo of these 5 battling. This is before Luzinord got involved after his spin.
This is when they went in 2x2, basically, with White ahead of Reed. And yeah, I think Valkyarvi had the racing line on that one, so I think he was just kind of an innocent victim in all of that. I think Domenico just got a little bit too close, obviously not intentionally, but as we get another slow-mo replay of them going 3 wide down the straight with Merck just behind, nearly went 4 wide into turn 1, right by the pit exit. And Merck is oh my, I'm not even sure who that is. I think that's Valkyarvi. Had a look at the inside of Spoon, but he's playing it cautious, which I was going to mention earlier. Merck, for a lot of that battle, was just kind of hanging back, and I think he was expecting exactly what happened, where people started getting oversteer, they started sliding, they started hitting each other. Here's another person that has benefited from all that, and that is John Broadmeadow, who has closed up on this battle and is likely to gain an advantage on the cars that already pit and the ones that have damage. I think White and also Domenico, I think he's going to get an advantage on both of them. And if he plays his cards right, Broadmeadow might have a shot at both of these positions here from Merck and Valkyarvi.
Yes, of course. I mean, he's still got a whole race to go. And White hasn't pitted. He's still recovering from the loss of traction there into the chicane. But definitely expecting a lot more drivers to pit soon. Just
Merck's done it though. Merck went around the outside at turn 1. Yeah, right on Valkyarvi. Very drama-free incident there. Both drivers giving each other lots of room, lots of respect. And he's just gone right around the outside of Valkyarvi into turns 1 and 2. And yeah, like you said, White's just kind of hanging back now. I think he maybe lost a little bit of confidence in the car, which is huge, obviously. The more confident you are in the car, the more you can push it, the faster your lap times will be. Just everything about it is better, and I do believe that he's lost a little bit of confidence. Here's that battle for the lead now, though. Now that things have settled down ever so slightly in that battle for... Actually, I do believe that's now the battle for 4th is what it was on account of Luzinord spinning. But we're back on board with this battle for the lead. Nolden's still hanging on to the lead, actually. And I'm wondering, personally, if this is tactics from Alatalo. I have seen him race before in other series. He's a very strong driver, very fast, very, very intelligent driver. So it's very possible that he's just hanging back and waiting for a chance to pounce, possibly in the pit stop phase. Riku might be holding back, waiting for Kerry to pit, and then he's going to put in some purple laps, purple sector times, and maybe try and get him out of his slipstream.
Definitely, and we move back on to the battle for fourth, or at least what's left of it, and Valkyarvi is struggling to keep right behind with that damaged rear wing. White's going to try and do an overtake on the inside, and he does so. I think Valkyarvi just backed off there because he's having so much trouble keeping the drivers behind, especially with a damaged rear wing. He's having to rely on Matteau as he goes into the pits himself.
Yep, he's going to go into the pits, and he's gonna get fuel. I imagine he's going to get tires as well. This is a very tough track on tires here, so I imagine he's going to be taking fuel, tires, and hopefully a repair to his rear wing to restore that confidence that he's lost in the car. Valkyarvi still definitely in contention for that 4th place position, 5th place position. Reed did kind of break away from the rest of that field once it started getting a little bit messy. So it's possible that Reed might have that 4th place position solidly in hand at this point. But that remains to be seen, as we've still got half the race left. We're on lap 16 right now, 15 laps completed, 15 laps to go. And it's still all to play for here, as I do believe Alatalo has kind of disappeared, and he has returned. There we go. And I'm sure that's going to be a little concerning for Nolden, running in 1st position at the moment. You know, 2 guys that don't live too far. They're certainly not on the other side of the world. But yeah, that's going to be a little bit concerning, although they seem to be fine for the most part.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's just how the servers are sometimes. I mean, we've had some internet issues by the looks of things up and down the track, but nothing which has led to any incidents. So hopefully this doesn't damage anything during the race. But still got half a race to go, as the 2 drivers are about to start lap 17. And I suppose Tyler's going to just wait, as you say. He's going to wait until the pit stops. But it's probably better for him to stay in the tow. It's giving Nolden some pressure, but it's allowing him to just get around the track. But it does hurt the tyres a bit, staying in the dirty air.
Is it saving his fuel, though, is what I'm wondering. Is he saving fuel just by running in that slipstream? Maybe he's short-shifting down the straights?
Yeah, it might be possible. I mean, you can probably go... If you got a full tank of fuel, you can probably go in the pits, and depending on how much fuel you've saved, either put in about 3 gallons of fuel or 2 gallons, and of course, a gallon about I don't know how much that converts into liters. I'm sorry, I'm not a calculator.
I think it's about 4 liters per gallon.
About 4 liters per gallon. I mean, it does add up to a lot, and if Alatalo can stay behind, and means he has to put in less fuel, and that means less time to pits.
Good point. Yeah, very good point. It means shorter pit stop. It could potentially mean that he goes a lap longer as well. Kerry might be coming into the pits a lap or 2 before Alatalo, and that might give him the chance to run some really quick laps on that low fuel setting. So hopefully that will play out in Alatalo's hands for his sake. Obviously, Nolden is going to be doing his best to try and prevent that, as Rompoy, and I'm sorry, I missed the second name. Thank you. They're going side by side. Oh no! And is that
I think that's
Broadmeadow?
Yeah, Broadmeadow. And
man,
he's lost it trying to make sure he stays out of the way, but he looks like he didn't hit the barrier, so I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't think he got any damage from that, but obviously that's not the best way to be coming out of the pits. Again, as we've said, the pit stop's very important here. It's really easy to lose time in your pits, either by having the wrong settings before you go into the pits, and I thought Kerry was going to be diving into the pits right there. Actually, he was hugging that inside line very tightly, and Alatalo still just hanging right behind him. And if my ears don't fail me, I think we're actually coming up onto some lap traffic now pretty soon here, because of course people are starting to pit, which is going to start bringing the traffic back towards these leaders.
Yes, and it will be a good demonstration of how quick these 2 are. I mean, this is a very long lap. I mean, you're going around it for nearly 2 minutes a lap, and even with the pit stops only last about 30 seconds. If the leaders are lapping drivers, even at that point, it's pretty incredible, their pace.
Yeah, that sure is. Yeah, I think that means they're I mean, for some of the back markers, I think that might mean that these guys are going 4 or 5 seconds a lap quicker. So yeah, very impressive stuff from the two of them. It does appear, though, to me, to the untrained eye here, that Alatalo is dropping back a little bit. That could be because they're going through the twisty part of the circuit. Of course, that's ended now that they're coming out of the hairpin. Really, the only major curves left here are Spoon and 130R, and then the chicane, of course. But it looks like Alatalo dropped back a little bit, and I'm wondering, again, if that's just to sort of get out of the dirty air. As you mentioned, running in the dirty air is certainly going to damage his tires, so I'm wondering if he's making a conscious effort to try and protect those.
Probably is the case, and also even if he's not trying to protect the tyres, he has to cope with the dirty air, so he's going to get less turning, so he has to try and focus on getting all that big gap. He loses back through these straights.
And I do believe, not something we've mentioned yet, I don't think it's 100% flat out. Maybe this is something that you've noticed already. It sounds like the drivers are maybe doing a little half lift through 130R, is that correct?
Well, I'm not too sure, but definitely if you're right up to the gearbox of a driver, you want to wait until after 130R sometimes until you try and go for an overtake from a chicane, but I think you can go flat out. I'm not too sure.
Of course, it does depend on, some drivers might be running more downforce or less downforce than others, but it certainly sounded like the engines were still at a pretty high rev, so if there was any sort of lifting, it certainly wasn't a full lift, but just a tiny one. As we're starting lap 19 now, still Kerry holding on to that lead. I mean, he's got to be a little concerned at this point, just trying to think from Kerry's point of view. He's got to be wondering, why is this guy so close to me and yet has not made any sort of attempt to pass? And I mean, certainly if I were Kerry in this position, I would be asking why. Why is he doing this? And I would probably starting to think that it does have something to do with tires, fuel, something like that, that he's trying to out-strategize him here.
It's for mind games. It's for mind games. Any way to try and disturb your opponent, but I'm just wondering when they're going to pit. I mean, surely they're going to pit in the next lap or two because their fuel tanks are going to be running on fumes in a minute.
Yeah, yeah. As you mentioned, I don't think that we have too long to wait before we see these top guys pull into the pits.
I mean, we've seen drivers all the way down the field pitting at different times, but it looks like these two are just waiting until the very last minute because they just want to try and predict their moves. And if Nolden pits first, Alatalo's going to follow. It's for certain.
Yep. Yeah, and. These guys are running a lot longer than a lot of the other people, so I gotta imagine that both of these guys fueled up with a full tank. They put in every last drop that they could, or at least certainly very close to it.
Definitely, and I don't think we should forget about third place. Hausen is currently in third place, but at this point, if we finish as we do, he will take the lead of the standings as Alatalo tries to go around the outside for an overtake. They're still side by side, and Alatalo has to back off. Nolden is shutting the door, and Alatalo runs just a bit wide.
Yeah, a little bit of a squeeze from Kerry there. Nothing too major, though. All very legal. No problems there. Obviously, he wasn't running him off the track. But if you can get the car that's next to you to even just dip the slightest bit. Speaking of Hausen, we're going to get a very nice shot of a very low down angle as he's coming through a corner there. But yeah, Alatalo, obviously, now he is starting to pounce a little bit. Again, I don't know if that may have just been a mind game going around the outside.
I think he's trying to force a pit stop. I think he's trying to force a pit stop because they surely cannot stay out for another lap because they're going to have no fuel left.
Yep, and of course, the less fuel you have in the car, the faster you're going to go. So, I mean, that really just emphasizes just how quick these guys were at the beginning of the race, considering how much race fuel they had in the car. And these guys were breaking away from cars that had probably less fuel than they did. And they just took off into the distance. Really, the only person that was able to keep up with them was Knief, and he ran out of gas on lap 6.
Yeah, I mean, it just speaks volumes of how quick they are. I mean, there's nothing more else to say on that. I mean, supposedly Alatalo's trying to get a pro license. Nolden, he's been racing in the Star Mazda official series for a while. Alatalo tries to go for an overtake, but he just doesn't succeed. Will they pit this time around? Yes, they will.
They do, and they're going to pit at the same time. So obviously, any type of fuel saving that Alatalo may or may not have been trying, that has not paid off. He's not unable to go a lap longer. They're going to be in the pits together at the same time. Having a look at Knif at the moment, who is running in 12th. According to the ticker, I'm not 100% sure if that's accurate. And I do believe that's Martinson into the pits. I think
it's still the leaders.
Okay. I thought I saw Martinson there, but no, and that's Housen coming into the pits as well. So he's nearly an entire pit stop down on the leaders, and there they go with Alatalo out in the lead. Yep, Alatalo in the lead at the moment. We're having a quick look at the battle for 7th between Robinson and Valkyarvi. Valkyarvi still has that broken rear wing, which is somehow helping him, it would seem, as he overtakes Robinson.
Yeah, it looks like he's just soldering on with a rear wing. I mean, it would take a long time to put a new one on, as we're on board the battle for 10th between Domeno and Kanifi, and this is basically all those battlers for 4th earlier on. They're trying to bunch back up. Recovering from the pit stops, but will he get by? Yes, he will.
Yep. Very nice standard textbook move to move up into, well, actually, I'm not sure what position. I think that was for 11th. That was for 11th. Moves up into 11th, does Colin Knif, and I'm sure he's going to be very happy about that. The big question with Knif here, though, is has he already made his second pit stop? Do we know if he's already stopped the second time?
We're not sure if he is doing a second pit stop, but depending on how much fuel he can put in the tank, he might have to, and that's going to hurt him if he does. But if he has done a second pit stop, that's not such a bad position to be in.
No, yeah, I think that speaks volumes about his pace. If he's now in 10th or 11th after 2 pit stops, certainly he should be very happy with that. And who is that just behind Domeno? I believe that's Leister just behind him in 12th.
I think so. He's hanging on to the battle, but he's been in the midfield for a while now, so we're hoping he can keep behind at Domeno.
Yep, and it looks as if Knif is pulling out a little bit. So yeah, he might be stopping again. Oh no, and he's got oversteer. Oh, and Domeno does very well to get out of the way there. Very quick reaction times from Domeno there, who darts to the outside of the hairpin and gets out of the way and takes that position back crucially. And I do believe Leister probably would have gained a position from that as well. So Leister getting very close to the top 10 there, and if Knif pits again, I believe that's going to put Leister into the top 10. We're back on board with Valkyarvi at the moment, and is that White? Yeah, that is White, I believe. That Valkyarvi is right on the back of as we come to the end of lap 22 here.
It looks like they're all bunching up again, so this could be very interesting in the end.
I believe that's Merck right behind Valkyarvi again. Yep, it sure is Merck right
like
behind Valkyarvi. Yeah, exactly. Everybody's getting back together just for old time's sake. Coming down the pitch straight now, White is going to defend to the inside. Valkyarvi takes to the outside. It wouldn't be the first time we've seen somebody overtake at the outside of turn 1, but no, White is very confident into the corner there.
I really think that rear wing is hurting his straight line speed, because the second he got out of the toe, he lost speed because of that rear wing, and usually you keep a constant speed even if you go out the toe, but he's losing speed, so that rear wing, it is hurting him.
Yeah, unsurprising. I mean, you can see just how messed up the thing looks. So yeah, it's certainly not going to be helping. Honestly, when I saw the damage to his rear wing, I thought for sure that he was going to have to pit for repairs on that one, have the boys get out a hammer and just kind of knock it back into place. But no, he has not. He's carried on, and
maybe take the rear wing off Brock's car and just put on Valkyarvi's.
There you go. But yeah, he's hanging in there. I mean, it's really impressive. You got to say that Valkyarvi has managed this much of the race with that problem that he's got at the rear of his car. It's very impressive.
Well, it just shows his talent, doesn't it? He's doing a very good job. I mean, to finish, wherever he finishes, as long as he finishes about top 8, I mean, with a damaged rear wing, that's a great job. And of course, it's getting Avid Chronic Racing some good points, and with Trowbridge somewhere down the order, and Brock also up the race. The points are very well needed. I mean, they're one of the few 3-car teams, and if they don't finish at least 3rd behind Team AOR and Nuclear Racing, it's going to be a bit of an embarrassment, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're not making it easy on these guys at all. Avicronic Racing for sure. You know, the AOR boys, Nuclear Racing. Even though we don't have Jonas Nukarainen in the race today, obviously we've got Riku, who. I mean, I'm really excited to see those guys race each other. It's going to be interesting once we get a race with the two of them. But yeah, you know, the ACR team doing their best, and Valky Arvi doing a fantastic job to try and maximize his points. He's got we got about 7 laps still remaining in this race. He is very close to white, and he doesn't. You know, I was kind of expecting that Merck was going to close up to the back of these two a little bit more than he has been. As we cut to the leaders now, and here's Alatalo, and he has not made any progress as far as Nolden is concerned, and I'm sure that's not what he was hoping for in the pit stop phase. He definitely jumped him, obviously he gained the position, but now he's got to be looking in his mirrors for the rest of the race.
Definitely, I mean, you've got this is gonna last until the end of the race, but I think at this point, there's no holding back. They're going to try and take the position. As you can see, Nolden, he's going to try and overtake him on the outside, and he can't.
Nope, yeah, Riku holds on to that position. Very, very nice move there. Defends the inside line for that chicane. Very difficult to go around the outside of that corner. You really have to have an edge over the car that's at the inside under braking to just kind of get the nose of your car in and say, I'm taking the inside line for this next corner, and there's nothing you can do about it. But no, Riku defended that very well, keeping Kerry back for the meantime anyway. Now there's 7 laps remaining. I do apologize. There was 8 as of last lap, but now 7 laps remaining. Still holding on to that. Housen as well, still holding on to his 3rd place position, which he seems to love so much after finishing 3rd at Laguna Seca. Phil Reed still holding on to 4th place at the moment. As we mentioned earlier in the race, Phil seemed to break away from the rest of this battling pack that was going on in the midfield, and he's in a very comfortable 4th position from what we can tell at this point.
Yes, it certainly does look like he has the pace to stay ahead. It was just his error going into turn 1, which dropped him back, of course, into that main pack. And even when he got ahead of him, he had to cope with him home toe. So hopefully he can stick him in position. Well, kind of hopefully. I mean, for us it wouldn't be as exciting, but for him it'll be a good thing, because that's some points guaranteed.
And just to go back to what we were talking about earlier, Kunif has indeed pitted twice. He had pit twice as of our conversation, so where he was running around in 10th, 11th, 12th, that is his legitimate position after 2 pit stops. So Kunif, I think, should be another one of those people that's very happy. Obviously, maybe he didn't choose the best strategy for today's race, but clearly he's got some nice pace.
Oh, definitely. I mean, well, I would start talking about it, but it looks like Nolden's trying to do another overtake on the outside. Can he do it?
And he's done it.
Yep.
He's done it. He got the edge there. He got that nose in there, just like I was talking about. He got that nose in there. He said, no, I'm taking the inside line as we turn left here. And he forced Alatalo to the outside, takes that lead. Looks like Alatalo, though, has had a better exit coming out of the chicane combined with the slipstream. That's going to give him a nice run coming down towards turn 1. And Alatalo dives out and goes around the outside, taking the almost just about the normal racing line as he just swerved off to the left-hand side there. That was really fantastic stuff from Riku there, really showing his skills.
Yes, this is an amazing battle to watch, and this is probably going to be a very familiar sight. At least one of the Nuclear Racing boys fighting with Nolden, who's still looking for his first win. He could have had a win against Nukarainen, but of course he had that mistake on the 2nd lap in Laguna Seca, and of course the wheel issue, which dropped him all the way back and got him lapped.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate one for sure. I can only imagine the frustration, and the frustration of something like that. You know, it might not really truly rear its ugly head until later in the season, when, you know, he finds himself just a couple of points behind the championship leader. He's going to be pretty upset about what happened in Laguna Seca. He's going to be remembering that race specifically, not this one here.
To be fair, you do have a drop week, so it might not be an issue unless he has another race with some sort of bad luck, or he just doesn't get the result. So it may become an issue even with a drop week, so it is fair to say that.
Yeah, it's certainly not his best race, but today having a much better race, running exactly where he should, trading first position back and forth with Riku Alatalo here. Coming to the end of lap 25, we got about 5 laps remaining in this 30-lap race. Riku defends the inside. I don't think Kerry has the edge on. Nope, he does not. He's got to slot back in. He just didn't have the edge under braking there, and I think Riku possibly has the measure of him. I think he's learned Kerry's trick at the chicane there, which got him by last lap, and he is defending hard to the inside, and Kerry's going to have to go to the outside. Riku moves back to the middle of the track, and he holds on to that position. Very nice driving from both of them, and there's some smoke in the air from a back marker, I believe.
I think that was a Team Wire race driver who was looks like he's going to be lapped soon. Not too sure who it is, but that's going to be a bit disconcerting for the two leaders having to contend with traffic as well as trying to fight for the lead.
Yep, although that does kind of force the one who's better at overtaking. Certainly traffic, it can be a game of luck. It really depends on when you catch up with that traffic. For instance, coming up here at the hairpin, if this back marker pulls wide, he'll be able to let both of them through relatively easily, but it doesn't look like he has done that. He has not. So now Riku's actually going to be losing out a little bit as a result of the dirty air. Although this corner is just about flat out, so I think he is actually getting a toe as we come into Spoon here. So yeah, it's a little bit of a game of luck, but also it challenges the drivers to use their overtaking skills when they're navigating the back markers.
Plus, it just doesn't help when you have another car ahead of you who's a lap down. You don't know what they're going to do because, as we said last week, you have to remember blue flags and iRacing are only advisory. I mean, it's all about sportsmanship, letting them by, and as the driver does, they're getting Alatalo trying to get a toe as much as possible for as long as he can. But that's not going to stop Norden from trying to do another overtake, but he's just not close enough.
Yep, just too far back. I think Alatalo did get a little bit of a speed boost there from, that was George Weissman, who's clearly not having a great race. Weissman was one of the hot topics that we were talking about in Laguna Seca. He had a pretty good race, if I remember correctly, or at least for a part of it. Oh no, and there's been contact between Riku and Kerry going into turn 1, and Kerry has spun off the track, and he is stationary. He's just sitting there stationary in the gravel as Riku Alatalo continues on, surely to win this race with only a few laps remaining. That is very unfortunate.
I mean, to me, it looked like it was net code. I mean, they didn't touch.
Right. I mean, certainly the cars reacted as if they touched, but it did appear that there was a little bit of a space between them. I have heard of iRacing having some recent netcode issues this month, this new year. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it, but certainly Nolden has come out worse for wear, and he's still there at the exit of turn 1. I'm not sure if he is just in the process of screaming into the radio or what he's doing, but certainly he could have continued on to maybe get second place. To likely get second place, I think, is worth saying. It didn't appear that he had any major damage, and here we're going to see a replay. Yep, and there was no contact between them. There was at least a foot of space between these two. Unfortunately, Nolden on the outside, though, was the one that got sent into the spin, and there we see him spinning through turn 1. And that is just really unfortunate. Wasn't very many laps left, obviously, and that's just really, really unfortunate. I hate to see that as we see Knief running through a corner here. Great shots, great slow-mo shots here.
Yes, I mean, you just got to wonder when is Nolden's luck going to pick up, because that's the second time something has happened which has stopped him from potentially winning a race. I mean, he could have max points at the minute, but his luck is stopping him.
Yeah, for sure. So, 2 races running, he's got to be pretty disappointed. Hopefully we will get some sort of information regarding why his car didn't move after he spun off into the gravel. But at the moment here, we're watching the battle, which is now for 3rd place is this battle. And I'm sorry, did I just see Phil Reed directly ahead of White here?
I think you did.
I believe I did. So actually, is this now a battle for? Oh no, that's right, because Housen's in second. So yeah, this is the battle for third. Kerry's on the ticker still up top, but we can safely ignore him for the moment. So yeah, this is a battle for third, with Reed at the head of it.
Oh, Reed's gone wide. He's gone wide. He's lost
right off the
2
track.
positions now.
Yep, he's at least 2. Yep, Valkyarvi, and where's Merck? Merck is right behind him as well. You could just barely see him peeking out just behind Reed's car as we're going through the S section. And surely Reed has got to be upset about that. I wonder if Reed is having some sort of problem. Maybe he's fuel saving. Maybe he didn't put enough fuel into the car during his pit stop. Because he had such a commanding lead over the rest of these guys, and he just seemed to fall back into their clutches. And then
I'm not too sure what happened, but I think for the incident where he just lost control, I think it was just a lapse of concentration, because he's just bottled a 3rd place, and now he's going to try and have to get past Valkyarvi, who has damage, but White doesn't have damage, from what we can see. If we remember the incident in lap 3, he has no damage, so this could be very bad for Reed. He's just lost a position. He's just lost a podium position, and we've got about 2 laps to go now as Alatalo crosses the finish line. But this looks like it's going to be a very exciting battle for the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Then again, just to remind the viewers, this is the battle for the final podium position. There we see it on your screens. Battle for third between White, Valkyarvi, Reed, and Merck, just bringing up the tail end there, going through 130R. And yeah, you can really see Valkyarvi not gaining at all in the slipstream of White up ahead. And he was pretty darn close to him, so I do believe you are correct about that rear wing mainly hurting him on the straights. He really doesn't seem to be having any problems in the corners. He seems to be hitting all his apexes without much fuss. But here we might see the exact impact of that straight line speed as Phil Reed closing right up on the back of him. He can't have a look into turn 1, but just closing right up on the back of him during that straight.
The thing is, you can see when even with Valkyarvi, he's in the toe and he's still losing time, and this is hurting Reed. Reed has to get past Valkyarvi to stand a chance of getting back third, because as long as he's behind Valkyarvi, he's getting a damaged toe, you could say. I mean, it's the toe, he's not getting a full slipstream because his wing is damaged and he's losing time.
Good point. Yeah, that wing is going to be doing some funny things to the airflow for sure. For all we know, just the way it's bent, just from looking at it, you would kind of expect the toe to be to his left side with the angle that it's got. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be doing some funny things. Reed is, as you said, he is really going to need to try and find a way by him. We're on the penultimate lap of the race here. I do believe that Riku coming to the end of the penultimate lap, and he's going to be starting the final lap of the race very shortly here. Merck dropping off a little bit as they approach Spoon Corner, and Reed is right all over the back of him. He's hugging that inside. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you just saw that White had a lot of oversteer whereas he hit the curb and he went wide, and now Valkyarvi's got a chance of overtaking on the back straight. Reed now will probably also have a chance because Reed right up into the gearbox, Valkyarvi up into the gearbox, and is there going to be any action? Valkyarvi is going to try and go on the inside, Reed on the outside, he's going to try and take advantage of this. Will Reed try? No, he can't, he's just too close. But Valkyarvi is on the outside, and that's a bad thing to do because he's losing the toe. Reed's in the toe, and he's going to get past Valkyarvi. Will Valkyarvi use the Canufi?
Yep, and they're coming. This is the final lap of the race now. Valkyarvi pulling very far to the left there. It's almost as if he's conceding the position. I'm not sure if he meant to do that or not, but it seemed like he just gave Phil Reed that position. He's trying to run the outside on White. That's going to give him the inside line for turn 3. Can he hang on? No, he can't. White hangs on with the inside line for turns 1 and 2. Hangs on to that position. There are a couple more overtaking locations. One at the hairpin, one at 130R, and one at the chicane. Maybe at Spoon if you got the cojones for that type of thing. So there are still a few places left for Phil Reed to try and take that position, as we're going to see Riku Alatalo going down the back straight on his way towards 130R and the checkered flag as well. Valkyarvi running right behind Phil Reed. He certainly doesn't seem to be willing to give up his position to Merck, who has closed in a little bit after dropping off a little. He has closed right back into these guys, heading into the hairpin now. No change of positions, but Phil Reed is all over the back of White for that third place position. Alatalo going through the chicane for the final time and accelerating down the hill towards the start finish line for the checkered flag. Wins his first race of the season.
Now, can we cut back to third place, please? Can we cut back? And here we go. We just go onto the back straight, and Reed, he's just a bit too far away from White, but he's going to try and give a tow. Valkyarvi is right up on the back of Reed. Kniff, he's too far away, but he's going to pick up any pieces if something happens. Reed, he's right up on the back as we go through 130R. Valkyarvi is also onto the back. Reed, he's going to try and overtake on the outside. Can he do it? This is going to be a desperate move, but he's pulling off. He's pulled it off.
He's done it.
Done it.
Yeah, and here comes Valkyarvi to pick up the pieces as well. He's going to try it around the outside of White through the final corner, but his straight line speed just not helping him, and he does not get the position. He comes home in 5th place. Patrick White in 4th, with Reed taking that 3rd place position, and Merck, unfortunately, he was not able to pick up any scraps, and he finishes in the 6th place position. I believe that was. What a battle to the end there for Reed, White, Merck, Valkyarvi. Wonderful battling. Unbelievable that nobody touched right at the end here. As we're seeing, I believe this is Mittner coming under attack from Martinson. This is for 11th place, and it looks like Mittner is going to hold on. No, he's gone very deep there. He's going to struggle to put the power down. Here comes Martinson. He's right. The start-finish line is right there. No, he is unable to get by him. Martinson with a nice recovery drive, I believe from 18th after dropping down, claws all the way back up into 12th place position. And there's Housen, I'm sure, very happy with his 2nd place finish. By the way, after I did get word that Carey's incident did cause race-ending suspension damage to his car, which is why we did not see him leaving the circuit after that incident. And here we're going to get a wonderful replay on board with Reed, I believe this is, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, yeah, Reed going to the outside. Beautiful move. Dips a wheel in the AstroTurf at the exit of that first right-hander, but manages to hang on to it as we get this nice low-down shot through the chicane here of Reed taking that inside line and the podium position along with it. Fantastic job.
Recovery of the season? I know it's on your race too, but recovery of the season?
Yeah, very possibly. I mean, great stuff from everybody, really, there. Again, Riku Alatalo comes home in 1st place, finishing with a time of 58 minutes, 36 seconds, .663, with Housen an astonishing 22 seconds behind. Obviously, the only major the real contender for first besides Riku was Kerry Nolden, who had that suspension damage. Phil Reed gets a 3rd place finish, a podium finish for him. I'm sure he's going to be very happy about that. With Patrick White just behind in 4th. Obviously, he could have been in that 3rd place spot, but also potentially he could have dropped down to 6th. So I'm sure he's going to be relatively happy about finishing ahead of Timu and Merck as well, who got those 5th and 6th place positions. Again, as we mentioned, Martinson with a very nice recovery drive finished in 12th, just a 10th of a second behind Mittner. Very close between those two guys. 13 cars finishing on the lead lap. Kerry Nolden did actually get some points there. He was 3 laps down, but he was qualified at the end of the race, so he does bring home some points. Good point. Yeah, I do see that. He got the fastest lap of the race as well, gets him a bonus point, so I'm sure he's going to be very happy about that. Van Rompuy, Lukens, Broadmeadow. Oh, Broadmeadow DNF'd. I wonder if that was the incident that happened as he was coming out of the pit lane. That would certainly, and Luzenord, of course, DNF as well, and Van den Broek as well. Merkulitz, Saltalamacchia, all DNFing. Very difficult race here. Obviously, very challenging circuit. Very punishing on both the cars and the drivers. But it's amazing the battling that we got to see today.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, Bateau, you could really see that Bateau made such a difference. I mean, without it, I don't think the drivers would be as close as they were. But that's not to discredit them at all. I mean, it was some fantastic driving out there. And we're moving on to the Drivers' Championship. And as I said earlier, Housen does take the lead of the standings overall. thanks to where he finished in second place. Reed now takes second place, just a point ahead of Domeno in third. White is in fourth now with Nukarainen in fifth because he didn't turn up to this race. Alatalo tied in fifth. Mittner is seventh. Falchiavi jumps up to eighth. Leicester in ninth. And Wiseman in 10th despite a poor result today.
Yeah, as we mentioned, certainly was a tough day for Wiseman. I'm sure he's going to be looking to improve his fortunes in future races. But yeah, Hausen proving consistency above all else is more important than anything, because with his double podium finishes, that moves him into the lead of the championship. Martinson currently tied with Baxter for 11th place with 19 points. Kerry Nolden below his teammate, unfortunately. Obviously, he should be a championship contender. He should probably be in the lead of the championship with at least a win and maybe a second or a couple of seconds. So certainly he's going to be upset about being down in 13th behind his teammate. The other AOR driver, Neil Lukens, down in 16th with 12 points. Tied with Alexander Trowbridge at the moment.
Would be wise to say that 13th place isn't a very good place to be, considering how unlucky that number is.
Yeah,
reflects
very good
his
point.
luck this season so far.
Yep, it's certainly been difficult. Obviously, we're down at the bottom of the standings now. Got a few non-points scorers at the moment. Vandenbroek obviously is going to be upset about that for ACR, and Luzenord as well has got to be very disappointed with today. He was running around in that podium position. He was looking good, had that mistake, and then unfortunately didn't score at all today here in Suzuka. I'm sure he's going to be wondering what could have been.
Yes, definitely. I mean, he was running up in third, battling Hausen, so again, could have been a podium finisher, but it's 30 laps, 50 minutes long, anything can happen in that time. And of course, we got the last three drivers, Cam Stark, Sarteli Makia, and Lewis.
Yep, obviously everybody's going to be looking to get some points on the board. Nobody wants a zero next to their name, so everybody's going to be looking to improve their fortunes as much as possible. Here's how the Teams Championship is shaping up at the moment, with Nuclear Racing in first, despite them only having one driver running in each of the races, because their drivers won the races and scored 31 points each. That puts them at 62 points to AOR's 47 points. Obviously, that would look very different right now had Kerry won the race instead of Riku. We'd be looking at a pretty significant difference right now. ACR, though, hanging on, not looking too bad, only 10 points behind AOR. Obviously, they had a little bit of a difficult race today, but they'll be looking to improve their fortunes and maybe take that second place spot. Actually, Crekkan, why don't you go ahead and take us through the Independence Championship?
Yes, the Independence Championship, and Hausen also leading that. If this keeps up, he might take a double whammy at the end of the season, and that'll be pretty incredible to start off the first ever season of Pro Mazda. But Domeno, he's in second, but tied with Reed, who's technically in third, White fourth, Mittner fifth, Leicester sixth, Merck, who was first race today, seventh, Kanufi, he could have been higher up, but he's in eighth for the minute, Van Rompuy in ninth, Lawrence 10th, and I'm sure we got a few more drivers to go through. But Hausen dominating the championships, apart from the team championships at the minute. Merkulitz in 11th, after that DNF, he doesn't score any points today. Liam Robson, his first race, he scores 12 points, very respectable. And Winsborough as well, his first race, 11 points. And of course we have Evans, Lewis, Broadmeadow and Van Luzenord, who could have been on the podium, scoring nothing so far.
Yep, still got 9 races left to go and one drop week?
Yeah, one drop week.
One drop week, so yeah, obviously anybody that struggled today here in Suzuka is going to be counting their lucky stars that this is going to be their worst race of the season and it'll get dropped off of their points tally anyway, and looking to improve their fortunes here at Road Atlanta, headed off to America for the next race. Interesting track, very bumpy, some good passing locations though at the end of the straight there. Start-finish straight going into turn 1, that's for the brave people. But the back straight, we're going to be seeing a lot of exciting stuff. It's going to be 44 laps, and it should be really exciting. Maybe Suzuka's a little bit more legendary, but I think Road Atlanta is going to put on a good show.
Definitely, and I think that is it for us.
Yep, yeah, thanks for joining me, Crekkan. Thanks to Fizzy, of course, for all of his hard work and for your hard work, Crekkan. That's going to do it for this episode. We will see you guys next time at Road Atlanta.